Hey everybody, welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. It's episode 502. Today is the 26th of June, 2024. And as always, mostly Bradley is here to answer your local SEO questions. And me and Chris might occasionally hop on and help out and talk about things like growing your agency, outreach, prospecting, personal productivity, all that sort of stuff. But of course, we mostly focus on answering your local SEO questions. So with that said, I want to say hi to the guys, and then we got a couple quick announcements, and then we are going to do that thing that we do, which is answer your questions. So if you have a question, of course, you can always submit it by going to semanticmastery.com/HDHO. And once you go there, you're going to see a few things. At the top, there is the latest Hump Day Hangout, which you can watch the replays. Or you can click on the button to the right of that, or if you're on mobile, just below that, and ask your question ahead of time. If you do that, highly suggest that you go ahead and subscribe to Semantic Mastery on YouTube. That way you can get notified when the questions are answered, because we chop each one up into a video and publish that. All right, and then last but not least, we got AI Bradley. You can go down there, and AI Bradley is trained on the last 12 months of Hump Day Hangouts. We just keep the most current stuff. We don't want to have a bunch of stuff from like 10 years ago. And you can go in there and ask questions if it's not Hump Day Hangouts. So we've had, I think, over the last week, let me take a look. I was looking at the analytics. We have had in 1 week 86 messages to AI Bradley. So
Are you kidding?
congratulations, Bradley. You've been working overtime.
Yeah. I should be compensated for that.
Well, cool. Well, I'll kind of roll into it. Chris, how you doing today?
Pretty good. Yeah, like summer's here, as I mentioned last week already. Also Austria is like in the quarterfinals. Or is it quarter? I don't know. Like at least they won against the Netherlands in football, and like everyone is like, I
Oh,
don't know, they
cool.
celebrated like they almost won like the World Cup already, but we'll see. I
Awesome. Well,
thought they're
that's a
gonna
pretty big
do.
deal. Yeah. Bradley, how about you? How you doing?
Good. Busy, busy, busy. Hiring a salesperson finally.
Cool.
So we had a group interview today and six candidates, and I'm starting to book the one-on-one interviews starting tomorrow. So over the next 3 or 4 days, I'm going to be doing a lot of interviews, but hopefully I'll get somebody placed into my organization because I've been the only one that does sales for ever. and and now I'm really at the point where I got to get some salesperson in my organization so that I can free up some of my time. So and it'll help us to scale too. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully this time next week having somebody who has accepted an offer. So we'll see what happens.
Awesome. Well, also staying busy here, a little bit out of the ordinary. I think some of you watching know that I like to trail run, and me and my wife have taken over for a local running club, a trail race. So that's this weekend, and so we are finding out all the craziness that goes into that. That's a pretty big event. I think we've got 250 runners, plus their family, friends, people coming in, running distances from 25K, which is like 16 miles, to 50 miles. So I'm busy with regular stuff, and then busy in the back of my mind with, oh man, do I have all the shirts? Do I have all the water we need? All that sort of weird stuff. So anyways, a new thing that I'm gonna make some really good processes around. It's been interesting, from looking at this kind of from a business owner's perspective, even though I'm not doing it as a business. We do this for the club. But to go in and like, oh, well, like, can I see the process docs? Like, where's all the stuff for this type of stuff? And it's like, oh, well, so and so had a Google Doc, and this person had a spreadsheet, and it's like, oh man, I'm looking forward to bringing in some consistency and some like checklists and stuff to this. Made me think about some of the questions we get from people sometimes about, how to free up time, how to do things better. So with that said, I wanted to remind people, if you missed out on the launch of Brand Expander, I guess I'll call it the spiritual successor to Syndication Academy, you can go to semanticmastery.com/brand expander to find out more, or you can just go to Syndication Academy, and that should, or syndication.academy, and that should redirect over. But yeah, if you're on the email list, you saw the emails about that, you can still get in. It's slightly more expensive now that the launch week is over, but it is still available, and it is still a hell of a deal. So that's it on my end, you guys. Anything else you think we need to announce or go over?
Not that I can think of it off the top of my head. I just got a ton of questions. So
All right, well, let's get into it.
all right, sweet. Go ahead and grab the screen. Get right into it. I can figure out how to do this. There we go. Okay, get out of the way, Zoom. Sorry, guys. Zoom drives me nuts. It's always in the way. All right, so the first one was a YouTube comment that was from last week. Some was posted in here. Like I said, we're testing right now, just trialing. What's up, Willis and Nigel? I see you guys in chat. We're testing posting some of the questions that get posted as comments in under YouTube videos in Hump Day Hangouts so that I actually answer them because I'm terrible at checking social media posts and that includes YouTube and questions and such. I really don't like social media, just so everybody knows, in case you were unaware of that. So I try to stay off of it as much as possible. We moved all of our what's up, Greg? We moved all of our Facebook attendees and everything from our groups into a circle community. And I'm active in that, but outside of that, I try to stay off of social media just because I don't like it. So anyways, we're going to try posting some questions from YouTube into Hump Day Hangouts, and the ones that, we'll see how that goes for a couple of weeks, guys. And if it works, then we'll keep doing it. If not, then we'll omit that. But anyway, to answer the question, the first one was, I know I only pop in now and then, buried as usual, but what's the difference between G sites and the ones Google just killed? I thought they were the same, or did Google just quit automatically attaching their own G sites to your GBP? Now, this was from last week, but I can't remember whether I answered it or not. And I've had this question come up a lot again recently, which I think was odd because Google business websites were retired in March. And they gave, 2 or 3 months notification before they retired them. But Google business websites were the free one-page landing page type sites that you could create as part of the Google business profile. It is not the same as Google sites. Google sites or sites.google.com are still alive and well, and we still use them. So again, two totally different things. They're both Google properties, yes, but one of them was a organic asset that you built as part of the Google business profile. Google sites are websites. It's like Google's own version of WordPress or a CMS or whatever, a website builder that you can use whether or not you have a Google business profile or not. It doesn't make any difference, and those are available, and there's still we still use those and are as one of our primary branded entity assets or branded assets, and we still do a lot of things with it. I teach in the mastermind an SOP on Google sites or G sites for local SEO, which I call it's part of a larger process called the content mirroring method, but it's basically using a Google site to mirror the structure of the main website. And basically you're just building a container with the Google site. In other words, you're creating a wrapper with a G site where you wrap the G site around your primary website. And then you can use the G site as a link building target because you can be a hell of a lot more aggressive to a Google site than you can to your own money site. And so what I teach is how to create a mirrored version of the G site, basically mirroring the primary site structure. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio of top level pages. And then using that to build, and then basically you just embed the money site pages into the G site pages because it's a 1-to-1 ratio. So there's a page on the Google site for each money site page. And then you just take the money site and embed that page into its corresponding page on the G site. And now what you've got, and you do all of your internal linking in the G site properly, and I teach how to do that. But now you've got link building targets that you can be a lot more aggressive with because you use the Google site URL, not the main money site URLs, and you can be a lot more aggressive. I still don't recommend spamming those, like doing bulk kitchen sink spam, which is like, all the kind of links in the world and from various sources that are typically not very relevant and all that. We used to teach that. I got away from doing that several years ago. I teach building links with relevance. But when I say you can be more aggressive, it means you can be more aggressive with your link building velocity. So that's the speed with which you build links. You can also be more aggressive with your anchor text, meaning you can be more aggressive with keyword anchors than just brand anchors, which is what I highly recommend when building links directly to your money site, that you stick mostly with brand anchors. So again, a lot of this I teach in the mastermind because and Google sites are still alive and well. It's Google business websites that went away. Okay, so two totally different things. All right. Good question, though. Jerry says, what SEO strategies are you teaching in the mastermind? I'm curious, but I'm not sure if it's for me. Local SEO. I teach local SEO and lead generation, but that's only part of what we teach now. I certainly teach SEO because that's what I do in my own agencies is local SEO. So I teach exactly what I do for my own clients and my white label clients as well. I'm 100% transparent about everything that I do in the mastermind. And then I also, but besides just local SEO strategies and link building and on-page optimization and all the other stuff that goes into local SEO, we teach how to build a business around it, how to monetize it, not just know how to do SEO, because there's a lot of SEOs out there that know how to rank stuff and are hungry, or that, are broke. A lot of broke SEOs that know how to rank stuff. And, I recommend, learning SEO is only a small portion of running an actual business from it. That's only a small portion. There is so many things that goes into running a real local SEO business or agency. And so that's what I'm teaching a lot about. It's not just local SEO strategies, but how to monetize things, how to find prospects for marketing and sales, how to do prospecting, how to sell, how to manage, how to outsource, how to delegate, how to create standard operating procedures. All of that is really important if you want to monetize a local SEO skill. If you're skilled at local search engine optimization, doesn't mean that you can turn it into a business. There's a lot of SEOs out there that know how to rank stuff, but they don't make any money or very little money. And it's because you haven't learned all the other parts or components that you need to learn to run a successful business. And so I'm doing a lot of teaching on other parts of running a real SEO business too, because I think that's important. And I think that's the missing piece. If you guys are always out there just chasing the next SEO tactic because that's what's important to you, but all the other components aren't, then it's like a dog chasing its tail. You're never going to get anywhere. You're on a hamster wheel, a treadmill. You're just constantly running in place because you're always looking for the new SEO tactic. Why not monetize what you already know how to do, right? First. And that I think is the better model, is start generating revenue first. And then once you have a stable business that's generating consistent revenue that covers all of your costs, your overhead, your business operations, your training and education, as well as providing an income for you and your family. If you then have all of that already in place, right? So you have a stable business that is generating enough revenue to cover all of your business operations and overhead, as well as support your family. Then if you want to then spend all your time at that point, then learning the next SEO tactics for every new shiny new SEO tactic that comes out, by all means, do that. But get your cash flow needs met first, right? And that's why I say, a lot of you that are always, a lot of people spend a lot of time studying SEO tactics, but not how to monetize it, turn it into a real business. And I think that's backwards. I think you should learn business principles first and marketing and sales first, and then find SEOs that are hungry, the same ones that I'm talking about, that are good at SEO, but terrible at sales, terrible at running a business, right? And hire them or partner with them, JV with them, whatever. But now if you focus in on business, like learning how to operate an actual business, marketing and sales, that kind of stuff, you will start to revenue a hell of a lot faster. And then, like I said, at some point in your business, once your cash flow needs are met, then if you want to spend your time studying SEO just because you're passionate about it, you're curious, you're interested, whatever, by all means do that, right? But get your cash flow needs met first, because again, chasing the next SEO tactic, because as soon as I learn how to rank this, I'm gonna be financially free. I'm set on my money troubles are over. As soon as I learn how to rank stuff better. Well, good luck with that. See how that works for you. You know what I mean? And I'm not picking on you, Jerry. I'm just saying, like, we teach all kinds of stuff in mastermind about how to run a real business from it, if that makes sense. So, and what I teach about the directory hybrid agency is, I think, a better model for local SEO right now, because it's a combination of lead generation and traditional retainer-based SEO or marketing services. Okay. Next question was from Ralph. He says, "Hey Bradley, quick question. How do you rank in the Google 3-pack in 2024? Well, there's a lot that goes into it, but right now, what I think is the most important kind of elements, the biggest levers that we can pull to rank in a Maps 3-pack right now is on-page optimization for the self-hosted site is critically important. I see more of a correlation between how the website itself is optimized that is connected to the GBP. So how the website that is connected to the GBP is optimized, and the performance of the map, Google Business Profile and map search. Several years ago, I didn't see much of a correlation between that. But now there is a very significant correlation between how the website, the self-hosted site, is optimized and how the GBP performs. Okay. So that's number one. Number two is the Google Business Profile itself. How is that optimized? Is it fleshed out properly? Is all the sections completed? Are you providing as much detail and data to Google as possible, which in turn is you're making that data available to prospective clients too, right? Or prospective customers of that business. And then in addition to just the optimization of the GBP, there are activity and engagement signals, things that you have control over and some things that you don't. And that is, for example, like publishing Google Business posts regularly and referencing especially for local businesses, guys, like service area businesses, I mean, like publishing Google Business posts where you're referencing specific products or services that the business provides in the post text, as well as areas that those products or services were sold or delivered or whatever. Because again, for service area businesses, that's how you can make your profile so much more relevant than any of the competitors, is by doing things like injecting mentions of neighborhood names or street names or sections of a city or boroughs, districts, etc. If you mention various products and services in the Google Business post text, as well as reference specific geographic areas, locations, again, neighborhoods, things like that, then that gives that profile much more relevance for it. Remember, Google knows where people are now whenever they search. So if they think about, like in my industry, the tree service industry, tree service or tree service near me, those are by far get the most, those two search queries get by far the most search volume. Okay. Like it's significantly more than any of the other search queries. And so if a tree care contractor has references in a Google Business post, and by the way, this also applies to review replies. So if the GBP is getting reviews from their customers, if the business owner or whoever is managing replies goes in and replies to the review text with mentions of the products or services sold and the areas, the locations in which they sold them, where they sold them, right? That then again, that's the same. It's very similar to Google Business posts in that you're adding relevance to that profile that it's likely none of the other competitors are doing. And so back to my example, if a tree service contractor is doing this regularly, and there's other things I'll point out in just a minute, but if a tree service contractor is regularly mentioning the areas that they've delivered or provided services to, and they mention different service variants, using variants of the different services that they offer. So tree removal, tree felling, tree trimming, tree pruning, tree removal service, tree trimming service, tree care, arborist service, stump grinding, stump removal, land clearing, brush clearing, lot clearing, construction clearing. Like these are all variants of the services that they provide. So if they mix in a kind of they diversify the words that they use within their review replies or Google Business posts, and then mention things like a neighborhood name, for example, then think about that. When a customer or potential customer is in that same neighborhood and they just do a generic search query like tree service or tree service near me, or let's say they, tree trimming company near me, right? They might put that in there. Well, if the Google Business or the tree care contractor has referenced tree trimming service in one of their Google Business posts or review replies, and it mentions that specific neighborhood name, then Google is much more likely to show an impression of that GBP, even if it's not in the same kind of proximity parameters that most other GBPs. It doesn't happen overnight with a one and done. You can't post one time a neighborhood name and expect it to just always rank in that neighborhood. That's not what I mean. But it's over time consistency that will do that. Another thing is Google Business, photos, publishing photo or uploading photos to the Google Business profile. It doesn't have to be through a manager account either. It can be directly through Google Maps. But taking photos and or videos from out in the field, if especially for a service area business, like again, a tree care contractor going out on jobs and snapping, 2 to 5 photos per job with their location settings turned on, enabled on their phone, which, I mean, I don't know anybody that turns that shit off anyway, but with those on, that image data has a lot of rich metadata about where that photo was taken or video was taken, and uploading that directly to the Google Business profile, not like through Google Maps. You don't have to be in a manager account, none of that. You just go to Google Maps, search for the company name. When it pops up the profile, click add photos, and then uploading photos to that and or videos. Again, that trains Google as to it's proving to Google, it's validating to Google that the business does those services in the areas that they claim they do them in, right? And so those are all things that are very, very important. But again, and backlinks, other type of engagement signals, like search and click signals, branded search and clicks, things like that, those are all valuable for ranking too. But again, where I'm seeing the biggest kind of levers that we can pull right now for Google business profiles for improving performance of for Google business profiles is on-page optimization for the self-hosted site. And then also how you connect the GBP to the self-hosted site. That's what I call the location landing page. Having that page that the GBP is linked to, again, the location landing page, that should be optimized to, as Ted Kubota said, provide agreement with how the GBP is optimized. In other words, the location landing page should corroborate how the GBP is optimized. And I see a lot of mistakes where service area business that has a lot of location pages on their site, so that because they're trying to get rankings in, you know, adjacent cities and towns, etc., they will link to their homepage from their Google business profile because they only have one GBP and they think that they should be linking to their homepage, but their homepage is not optimized for that specific area where the GBP is located. It's optimized for a broader geographic area. And so the map won't perform as well. The GBP won't perform as well in its own local area because the location landing page is not corroborating what it is linked to, like how the GBP is optimized and what it's linked to is not corroborating or validating that data. Does that make sense? So I've been teaching for the last several months now that even for single location Google business, like single Google business profile businesses that only have one GBP, if it's a service area business, they should still link to a dedicated location landing page that is optimized for the specific area, city that the Google business profile is physically located in. Because that right there will help that GBP to perform better in its own local area. You can still target, trying to expand by having supporting location pages, you know, so that you can try to push maps coverage expansion, right? So get more coverage area with the GBP, but also to rank organically in those areas. But the GBP should be linked to a dedicated page optimized for that specific city that the GBP is registered to or located in, if that makes sense. And so I see a lot of mistakes with service area businesses that are making mistakes right now. And by the way, I don't know that it was a mistake before, but I'm saying now things have changed a lot over the last 2 years. And so that's what I'm teaching now is on-page optimization is critically important, both for the GBP and the self-hosted site, more so now than I think it's ever been, at least in my experience. That's clear. Okay, it's a great question though. Moving on, Vlad says, I want to start selling backlinks to my clients. What metrics do you look at to ensure it's a high quality backlink? For me, well, there's really two things that I look at. I look at relevance, so topical or geographic relevance, and then traffic. If you can figure out if there's traffic on the links, I think traffic is a validator for links, guys. It's definitely something that's worth looking into. But I don't really care about DA or DR. Like most other SEOs do. I don't really care about that. Like if I can determine, because I don't even use Moz metrics or Ahrefs or Hrefs or whatever you want to call it. I don't use their metrics either. I just don't use those tools. I use Majestic for backlink analysis because Majestic has a measure of topical relevance for external backlinks. It's known as topical trust flow. Majestic's primary metrics are its two proprietary metrics that it's known for is trust flow and citation flow. Trust flow is supposed to be a measure of link quality and strength. Citation flow is supposed to be a measure of link quantity. However, neither of those metrics mean much to me either until and unless we can determine a backlink is relevant, topically or geographically relevant. And then the trust flow value becomes important because if a link isn't relevant, it's not really producing any value. Google is not assigning value to a link unless it's relevant. And there's varying degrees of relevance, right? There's relevance at the page level, the referring page level. So that means the contextual link is placed within content that is relevant to what it is linking to. Then there's domain level relevance, which means where is that post that contains the contextual link published? What is the overall topical theme of that site that post is published on? And I found that if you can publish a post that is topically relevant, so that's page level relevance, onto a domain, a referring domain, a site, a blog, etc., that is also has its primary topical categories in one or a combination of the topical categories identified by Google for the page that you're linking to, then that link tends to have a better push, even if the trust flow values are lower. What I'm saying is I would rather have a link with low trust flow values, but that is fully relevant at the referring page and the referring domain level, than a high trust flow link that is only relevant at one level, at, like, say, for example, the referring page level. Now, I've done some testing with this, and in some cases you can get, if it's a high authority type of property, and it's got high trust flow in relevant or closely related topical categories. It doesn't have to be the exact kind of topical category match, but still within tangentially related categories, right? Then I found that if you can get a link on a high trust flow domain, so the domain itself has high trust flow, as long as the categories are somewhat related, then it doesn't have to be fully relevant at both the referring page and referring domain level. Like, in other words, it's more important to have the relevance at the referring page level. But I have found that if I can get links that are on, even with low trust flow values, on domains that are both relevant at the referring page and the referring domain level, and then also look at the backlink profile pointing to the referring domain. What do the backlinks look like? Because if backlinks are given credit or weight, assigned value by Google, depending upon how relevant they are, then if you look at the backlink profile that are pointing to the referring domain that you're considering publishing a post on, right? Then you want to see, are the backlinks relevant to that referring domain? What they're pointing to, are they topically relevant to what they're pointing to? Because if there's a high quantity of links that aren't relevant pointing to the referring domain, you're not going to benefit from that link equity because it's not relevant. So what I do is actually analyze 3 levels. I look at potential link sources, the referring page. We're going to have, if we're publishing the content onto that site, we're going to have control over the content and relevance of that page itself, right? So what do? I go identify what are the topical categories identified by Google on the ranking pages for the search query that I want the page that I'm building links to. What are the topical categories of that page? What are the topical categories, according to Google, of the top ranked pages for the search query that I'm optimizing for that page for, that I want that page to rank for? Go look at the top ranked competitors in organic search to determine what does Google understand about these pages that are ranking for this search query? So now you know, and you can do that using Google's natural language API. You can go into their developers console or whatever, and copying and pasting content from the top ranked pages. You can use a tool like on-page AI. Do you guys want me to demonstrate this? Let me just demonstrate this. Why not? Let's take a minute. Do this. It's a good question. So I'm going to go into on-page AI, guys. Give me a second. And we'll just take an example here of, here's a former link building project that has been canceled for a number of reasons. But anyways, let me just show you. Let me just click on okay, we're going to restore this. So here's an example, guys. If you're to do a search for tree service Leesburg, VA. Okay, let me just give you an example. Okay, so what we're going to see here is these top ranked competitors right here. These are the page URLs. Remember, Google does not rank websites, guys, for search queries. It ranks web pages. Okay, but a web page's ability to rank is significantly influenced by the domain's authority and strength. So we always want to start by looking at page level metrics first, but then we want to zoom out and look at overall domain level metrics when we're doing backlink analysis. Competitor backlink analysis is what I call this. Competitive link analysis. Okay. So here's the top ranked competitor. So if we extract the top ranked competitor page URLs for this search query right here, this is the query that we're analyzing. We go plug that into the predictive link building tool, or tool of on-page AI. But by the way, you can do this directly through Google. Then I'm putting the target URL there, and then the top ranked competitors in the order that we found them. And then we go ask Google to tell us what are the topical categories identified on these ranking pages. So now we know 100% certain, if we're going to place a link within content, that we should tune or optimize the content to match one or a combination of these categories so that we can achieve page level relevance from that link, right? So that's number one. But then what about domain level relevance? Okay, Well, now we know what the topical categories are, so we can analyze the referring domains, so the sites or blogs that we're considering to use to publish a post on with a relevant post, and look at scan those. So instead of scanning pages, we can then scan the root domain. So we would select domains and then take our potential link sources, plug them into here, and then go submit again. And what it's going to do is go again, submit all of those domains, not the specific page URLs, but it's going to tell Google, crawl this entire site and tell me what the overall primary or most prominent topical categories are of each of these referring domains. And then what we want to do is identify referring domains that have their overall topical categories to match one or a combination of these that were identified over here. So that when we publish a post, we can achieve page level relevance and domain level relevance. That's where I've seen the most effect from links, is when I get links that are relevant at both the referring page and the referring domain level. But then we take it one step further at semantic links, at least I do. And that is, for example, if we go into link relevance and click load, and I'm going to take that same project. And here's an example of what, when I build links, what I'm looking at is I'm looking at trying to achieve both page level relevance and domain level relevance from the links that I build, if that makes sense, because I want to make sure that I'm getting the most value from that link. And there's a sliding scale of how much value Google assigns to a link, depending upon how relevant it is. On one side of the spectrum, there's a link with no relevance, which Google ignores. Now, there's always some exceptions to that rule, guys. There's no absolutes in SEO. So if you're able to get a link on a Wikipedia site or a page, for example, that was non-relevant, it would be moderated out in a heartbeat, trust me. But theoretically, for hypothetical sake, like for the sake of argument, if you were able to get a link inserted into a Wikipedia page that was non-relevant, even though it's a no-follow link, it's likely going to still move the needle, have a positive effect on what it's linking to because of the sheer strength of Wikipedia. But what are the chances of us getting those kind of links? Very, very rare. Slim to none will we ever get those types of links. So where we should be focusing our energy and attention and our effort, resources, etc., should be on trying to find links with the most relevance possible so that we extract the most value from those links. Because like I said, on one side of the spectrum, there's a link with no relevance that Google ignores, the vast majority of them anyway. On the other side of the spectrum is a link with full relevance, relevant at both the referring page, referring domain level, and therefore Google assigns full value to that link. Now, how much value that is, we don't know, because there's a number of variables that determine that. But however much value that link can provide, Google will give it that much credit for because it's fully relevant. So in between being not relevant, fully relevant are varying degrees of relevance. And there's kind of a sliding scale as to how much credit or value is assigned to a link depending upon how relevant it is. So if that's true, then what we want to do is try to find link sources that we can control usually can control the content. So that's the referring page level. But we want to find identify link sources, so referring domains that are also relevant in those relevant categories. And then the last thing that we want to do is we want to also go analyze the link profile of the referring domain to see if the backlinks that are pointing to the referring domain are relevant. Because if they are, then now we know that we're going to benefit from those backlinks that are pointing to the referring domain when we publish a post on that referring domain. So as an example, I'm just going to take this we had control over. So you can see that the page level is relevant. At the referring page level, it's relevant because the content was tuned or optimized to match the same topical categories that Google identified in that previous image that I showed you, where it showed the topical categories. But then the overall site here, if we look at this, the entire site is what I call a topic clustered site, in that every single post on this site falls within one or a combination of those same topical categories that were identified by Google as being relevant. So business, construction, and maintenance, business, agriculture, and forestry, and home/gardening, those three. This is in one of those three categories, right? And here's the proof. And then also the backlink profile. So by the way, I just clicked on the, I copied that. What I also then do is I match up the topical trust flow categories that Majestic provides that are relevant to the Google natural language categories that were identified. So let me just show you what I mean. I'm going to go back to on page for a minute. We're going to go to the predictive link building, load, Genesis, restore. Okay, so these are the topical categories according to Google, guys. These are Google's natural language categories. This is how they structure their categories. It's not the same as Majestic's. Majestic's topical trust flow categories are slightly different. I'll show you what I mean. These are Majestic's topical trust flow categories. Okay, so for example, business, you'll see business, construction, and maintenance. which would align with business, industrial, business construction and maintenance is relevant for a tree service contractor. It's not shown here, but you'll see that that is a relevant topical trust flow category. But there is business, agriculture, and forestry. So business is the top level category, then it's / agriculture and forestry. That's the subcategory. And you can see that that aligns with business and industrial, agriculture, and forestry, right? And then you'll see that there's also, by the way, guys, you can search for complete list of topical trust flow categories, or just go to TTF or topicaltrustflow.semanticlinks.io, and you can get this list of topical trust flow categories. But if you scroll down, you'll see down here at home, under home, you'll see home/gardening, right? And you'll see that that was another home/gardening and landscape. So Majestic's topical trust flow categories are not the same as Google's natural language categories, but they're very similar, the structure. So you can usually find topical trust flow categories that align with or match up to Google's natural language categories. So then once you understand what the topical categories are of the top ranked pages for the particular search query that you want to rank for, then you know what at the referring page level, how to tune your content to make sure that Google identifies the content in that one or as being in one or a combination of those topical categories identified here. Then look for referring domains that you can scan with a tool like this, or directly through Google's natural language API or their console, developers console, whatever. Natural language. You can go plug in some of their content from their ranking pages, and it'll tell you what topical categories, right? And then identify an overall domain that has a site that has their overall topic in one or a combination of these categories. But then look at their backlink profile, and that's what's next. So if we go paste this in here and we go take a look at this one, which again, you can see that with that particular link, we achieved page level relevance, domain level relevance. And here's why. If we go analyze the backlink profile, I'm going to go to the root domain. So we look at the overall backlink profile to the entire domain, not just that one page. And there's backlinks from 19 referring domains pointing to this referring domain. And look at the topical category. It's 100% in the business, agriculture, and forestry topical category. So you know that whatever links we're building from this particular from here, the link from this is relevant at the page level, domain level, and the backlink profile level. So that's how we're able to achieve significant results from links with far less cost than what most other SEO or link building companies charge, which is based on DA, DR, and traffic. Now, some of my sites get traffic, some of them don't. That's not a metric that we track for my sites, because in my sites, we're pushing relevance, either topical or geographic relevance. Traffic is a validator there. So if you can also identify link sources that have traffic, that is something that you should be paying attention to. Now, for everybody else out there that still swears by Ahrefs and Moz and all those other metrics, by all means, guys, if that's important to you, then fine, use those metrics too, but use them as secondary metrics. After you've determined relevance first, then you can use DA or DR or whatever tickles your fancy as the determining factor as to which link source is better. Hopefully that's clear. Anyway, right there, guys. And by the way, just so you guys know, there's on our YouTube channel, and it's public. It's available for you guys. Just go to Semantic Mastery channel. And what you want to do is use the search function right up here and just search for competitive link analysis. Oh, excuse me, not up there. You can do it there too, probably, but use the channel search feature. So excuse me, and type in competitive link analysis. And I did a full training on this. It's publicly available for all of you guys right there. It's an hour and 8 minutes long. It teaches you exactly how to go out and analyze the top ranked competitors and know exactly what type of links you need, the topical categories needed, and the anchor text ratios that you should be building based upon the average of the top 5 ranked competitors for the particular search queries that you're optimizing for. That makes sense. There's even the workbook in here, so I'll just click into this just to show you. There's a workbook pinned right here. Well, it's pinned as the first comment right there. If you click on that, it's going to take you to the Excel file that basically you just plug the data in by following exactly what I teach in this training here. And it's going to give you the anchor text ratios, the average number of links, everything for each of the search queries that you're optimizing for. Now you know. Why guess at this stuff, guys? If anybody tells you the perfect anchor text ratio formula is 60% brand and 20% miscellaneous, 10% exact match, which is what I call target, blah, blah, blah. Run the hell away from them because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. You should be analyzing the backlink profile information of the top ranked competitors for each of the search queries that you want to rank for so that you can model what they're doing, right? Just do it better. Be more relevant. If that makes sense. But there is no perfect anchor text ratio. The perfect anchor text ratio is what the average of the top ranked competitors is. And somewhere in the middle, somewhere in that average, that within that range. That's what's perfect. And that's a query by query basis. That is not a one size fits all formula. If that makes sense. Model what the top ranked competitors are doing as far as anchor text and everything else, but try to just use more relevant links. That's what I do. And it works. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense. I just spent a lot of time on that. Roy says, why is it a no-brainer to join your mastermind in your opinion? For support, SOPs, the networking with others, getting questions answered quickly. It's current. I do a webinar every single Thursday. So I host an event. So there's always direct access to me, as well as the other members. Like I said, SOPs, I do a ton of SOPs. That's why there's a bunch of stuff in there about how to run and operate a real business, not just how to do SEO. Evan says, sorry if this question is kind of confusing. Does the searcher have to use local search terms for local SEO to work? I.e., if the searcher is located in Orlando and searches just carpet cleaning, will content related to carpet cleaning in Orlando, Florida still rank? Yes. What about less local type of searches like auto insurance? Well, it depends on what, like, Google is guessing at what the intent of the search is. And so, like, carpet cleaning, that can be an informational query as well as a query with local intent, right? With local search intent. Like, in other words, Google is going to take a guess. If you just search for carpet cleaning in Google, then Google is going to probably return a mix of results that satisfies informational search intent, where you're looking for just more information about carpet cleaning, maybe carpet cleaning methods, carpet cleaning chemicals, things like that, carpet cleaning products, etc. But it will likely also show, and we can test this. Let's just go to also, but being logged into Google will also change what it thinks you're, because Google is applying it, what it understands about you, the person, the profile, the Google user profile, to also manipulate the search results based upon what it thinks you are searching for, right? So I'm not logged into this. I'm in Firefox now, which I always use I'm never logged into Firefox ever. So I just use Firefox for doing search queries where I'm not logged in. But when you're logged into Google, it can change the search results because, again, Google is applying all of its user profile data to what it shows you in the search results. That is, Google is definitely customizing search results more and more as it collects more and more data on us, just so you're aware. But we can just do it. Like, for example, if I search carpet cleaning, you're probably going to see a mix of informational type of stuff plus local stuff, right? You can see it thinks I'm in Illinois because I'm using Starlink as my internet connection, and it thinks I'm in Chicago, I guess, right now. So you see how it's returning local packs, guaranteed Google service ads at the top, just local service ads. Then Google Maps here, right? So that's the Google or local finder, as they call it now. And then, but just below this, now you see this is social media kind of informational type stuff that would typically appear for informational queries, where they're going to have a carousel with Twitter or X posts, right? So you can see that that's exactly what they're doing here. Is Google is trying to satisfy different search intents because it's like the intent of the search. It's not sure what the intent of the search was, so it's providing mixed results in that first page of search results, right? But if you specify, if you're more explicit, right, about what your intent is by adding a modifier that makes it more intent or more specific, it clarifies the intent. So, for example, carpet cleaning service is going to return localized search results, like very localized search results, right? You'll see that big X Twitter carousel is no longer there. Why? Because it's no longer Google understands this is likely not a informational search query. This is a service-based or commercial transactional type of search query where it's got local intent. So, but then how about carpet cleaning if you do near me? Right now, that's absolutely a local search, a search with local intent. Right. And so again, this is going to be similar to carpet cleaning service in what it returns. Not the same. It's because again, notice how there's not the YouTube carousel that there was before. Right. So if I go back to carpet cleaning service, you'll see that now there's also some YouTube stuff down here. Why? Because this is videos about carpet cleaning services. I don't know that these are localized, but you can see that Google is favoring this as a local search because you added service. That makes it more specific. That is likely more is more likely, excuse me, a local search query than just carpet cleaning is, right? But then carpet cleaning near me, that is a location modifier. So that is explicitly mentioning making it a local search query, excuse me, because you're adding a location modifier. So near me or a city modifier, etc. That's going to make it a local search for sure, because now you've clarified the intent of the search through what the search query was. Hopefully that's clear. All right. So it depends on the type of search query itself. If Google's unsure about the intent, it's going to provide mixed results based because it's trying to satisfy what the intent of that search was, and it's unsure. But when you have a search query that clarifies the intent of the search, Google is going to return results that satisfy that intent to the best of their ability. That's clear. It's a really good question there. All right, next is another YouTube comment question. Hey, Bradley, since you also used to do Google Drive Stacks, now that I think Google Sites are gone, Google Sites are not gone. Do you still use them? Yes, we still use Google Sites and Drive Stacks. Do you use those new Google Sites that just came out, and are they effective? I'm not sure what you mean by new Google Sites that just came out. Google Sites have been around for many, many years, so I'm not sure what you mean by Google Sites that just came out. If there's a new type of Google site that's out there, why the hell haven't I heard about it? Who's holding back on me? I don't know of any new Google Sites, guys, other than the ones that we currently use, which have been around for many, many years. So I'm not sure about that question, guys, but I'd already answered that earlier. So Cloudstacks still work to boost money pages. Do we need to power them with blog post comments? I still do a lot of cloud pages. What I call Cloudstack is a cloud page with relevant links pointing to it. I don't do I do a Cloudstack service, which is called Local Landers, but that's for basically targeting neighborhood pages and such for local service area type businesses. But I don't use Cloudstacks in the traditional sense, like what a lot of other people call Cloudstacks for link building purposes. Like I don't use them like that. We do cloud pages, and then we build links, relevant semantic links is what I call them, right? Links with topical or geographic relevance to the cloud page that is a branded or a tier 1 link. It doesn't have to be branded, but we use cloud pages as a tier 1 link source. And then I build relevant links, either topical or geographic or both, to the cloud page. That's what I do. That's what I call a cloud stack. The traditional sense of a cloud stack is a cloud page with a bunch of other cloud pages linking to it in some linking configuration, right? A link wheel with spokes, a mono silo, there's a number of different linking strategies. I don't use them like that. That's not the way that I do it. I do cloud pages, and then I do cloud stacks for when I'm trying to target a mass page build to target things like neighborhoods and things like that. So keyword plus neighborhood, etc. I don't like to do any of that on the money side anymore because I found that after the helpful content update, that actually negatively affects search performance for local sites. When you're trying to target too many areas or locations with the same content over and over and over again, that lowers the overall site quality score and therefore lowers the performance of the site and any page on the site's ability to rank. Does that make sense? So I found that I used to do all kinds of neighborhood level type page stuff on the main site, the main money site. But after the helpful content update, I saw a significant decline in performance for any of those sites that had those pages. So I've started to remove those, eliminate them, delete them, prune them, whatever you want to call it, from the money site, and instead do those types of supporting location pages externally. A cloud stack is good for that. That makes sense. Or you can do it with Google Sites, by the way, sites.google.com, not Google business websites, guys. But you can do that with Google Sites. It's not an easy way to do it because it's manual, but you could do with Google Sites the same type of thing, like where you're targeting a bunch of location pages, etc., because that's done externally, and then use that to support the main money site. But I stick to main kind of main towns or cities and on if I'm going to build supporting location pages on a money site, and then I'll use things like a Cloudstack, what again I call those local landers, or G sites or something like that for building a bunch of neighborhood pages externally. I found that performs a lot better. Okay. Do we still need to power them up with blog post comments? I mean, again, it's up to you, whatever link building strategy you prefer. I don't like using blog comments. I know you can do it. I know you can do it with cloud pages, but I like to find links that are relevant for all the reasons that I just described earlier when I was answering the questions about what we should be looking for when analyzing backlinks. And I look for relevance. So if you can find, there are some gig providers out there that are good at finding relevant blogs, like topics to insert comment links into. But a lot of them will just scrape and they'll just post your stuff on completely non-relevant and blogs that have been spammed to death with blog comment links, like, for creating blog comment links, etc. So I don't like to do that. I don't like to, I mean, if you're just building cloud pages and Cloudstacks, etc., for just ranking those and not to push link equity and relevance to a money site, then by all means spam away, because those types of projects, those bucket hosts can handle that kind of spam. But if you're going to be pointing do follow links from any one of those cloud pages directly to your money site, I recommend not spamming those cloud pages. I only focus on relevant links, guys. I don't want to push non-relevant spammy link equity to my target assets at all. If you're going to be linking to a page or a cloud page or something that has no follow links pointing to your money site, by all means, you can hammer away with spam to that page that you're building links to as well. But I recommend not pushing negative or non-relevant link equity to the money site at all, if possible. Okay. Chris G, we only got a few more minutes. Chris, he must have posted this from somewhere else because Chris is in my DHA coaching group, so he has direct access to me every day. So anyway, with the directory hybrid system, so that's what I call directory hybrid agency. Do you advise on niche selection? What if a niche is already being done in a location? Yeah, I mean, I can. It's part of the coaching program. Yes, I can provide guidance. Or if somebody is willing, if you're not part of the coaching program, but you're in the mastermind and you have questions about a niche or an industry, whether it's, it's a good choice to build a whole agency around, I can certainly answer questions and provide guidance and help kind of research that on a training, one of my webinars on Thursday. That I always extend that offer to mastermind members. Look, if you're okay with me using this as a training opportunity, I'm happy to provide support in a group training setting for our closed mastermind group. And I don't charge anything additional. That's just part of being in the mastermind. If you want specific one-on-one or private consulting, private guidance from me, then you could purchase consulting time, and I'm happy to share that. But we do have a full SOP for selecting an industry that it's very, very thorough. Guys, very thorough. Like here, I'll just show you. Like, and by the way, we have an SOP of it. It's also, we have a separate course in the mastermind about it. So like if we right here, selecting a niche or an industry, and that's public, that should be available for anybody that's in our community, our circle community. So if I come in here and just say view course, this is a very, very thorough course about how to select an industry and how to research it to determine if it's viable and everything else. So by the time you get through this full training, it's very thorough. You should know without any question whether it's a good industry to be in or not. But if you still need guidance after that, by all means, you can post a question in the community and I'm happy to answer it. Or if you need one-on-one consulting, you can always purchase consulting time, and I'm happy to go over that with you as well. But in my opinion, guys, why not just post that as a question to the group that then I can answer and use it as a training opportunity to walk through how I would analyze that industry to determine if it's viable, which again, I teach all of that here just to show you so that you can see it in SOP format. This is what it looks like as an SOP instead of in a training course. And here it is. Like, it's very, very thorough, guys. Like, I go through very, very thorough training because I think this is one of the most important things, guys. I can't tell you how many people I know in SEOs that I've talked to over the years that if they don't get results in an industry very quickly, or whatever niche they've selected, they blame the niche and they switch niches. They keep hopping from niche to niche to niche because it's always the niche's fault that they're not getting results. It's never their fault, right? Which, by the way, if you've tried multiple niches and you've never achieved success, guess what? It's likely not the niche. It's you. You're the common denominator, right? So stop hopping from niche to niche to niche, because you're not going to just, I mean, it's very unlikely that you're going to stumble on some gold niche that is easy to rank for and that is lucrative, etc. So you just like pick a niche, determine that it's viable up front, and then don't look back. No buyer's remorse, guys. Don't 3 months down the road, because you've run into some challenges, say, oh, I'm going to change niches. This one's no good. No, don't do that. You're going to run into the same issues on every single niche, right? So just push through it. If you've made the decision up front, that's a educated decision based upon an research and analysis, then you know it's not the niche. There's already people spending money to generate leads online in that industry. So it's not the niche. If you're not getting success, it's you, not the niche. So stick with it is what I'm saying. And so that's why I think this is so thorough, guys. Look at the training here. This is what I'm talking about. And guys, again, in our community, you guys should have access to this training. This is one of the trainings that I made 100% public. Which again, it's this one down here, selecting a niche industry. So niche selection is important because once you've decided on a niche, stick with it, right? If you've done your research up front, you already know there's businesses spending money to generate leads online in that industry. And if that's the case, you know it's viable. So stick with it, figure out how to make it work. Those of you that are niche hoppers, my guess is you're probably not having any measurable success or significant success in any one of them. And it's because you're hopping niches. Stick with one and continue educating yourself on that particular industry, and you will get better and better, not just in SEO, but in how to sell them things, how to produce solutions for problems that they have in that business, right? You can level up your business entirely, your agency, if you kind of niche down, because now you become an expert in a particular industry, not just an SEO or a lead generator. That makes sense. All right. But again, niche selection is important. If you need guidance for that, I've given you multiple ways to get that. Next, do I need to build and rank the directory site first? No. If you're talking about the DHA, what level of tech skill is needed for this? Well, again, if we come back over here, I'll show you. We're going to go in here and I'll show you the SOP. All of this is available in our SOPs, guys. I'm going to go over here to the SOP section. You'll see that we have directory SOPs here. We have other SOPs here. To give you an example of what this looks like, if we go in here and I'll show you the geodirectory SOP. This is the one that I developed to show you how to build a directory site using geodirectory, which is a WordPress suite of plugin themes, etc. And again, I even provide a clone file that is available for you to download and install a pre-configured clone file that has all the basic settings configured and everything else for a directory, so that you don't have the same learning curve that I did. There's still a learning curve. There is for everything. But this is very, very thorough in that I provide full training about how to connect everything, how to optimize each of the different elements of the site, all of this, guys. This is what we do in the mastermind, right? I create SOPs for everything that I do, and then I share it with mastermind members. And this is how you scale a business, because again, this is step-by-step instructions on how to do these things that you can then assign to a virtual assistant, and then they can do it, right? That's how you scale, through duplication, delegating work and duplicating yourself, right? And so that's, again, why I teach all this in the mastermind, guys. SOPs, very, very important. Okay. What level of tech skills needing for this? Well, can you read and can you follow instructions? If you can read and you can follow instructions, that's the level of tech skills that you need. You will gain tech knowledge through the process of applying what you're learning through the training. You will gain that. There is no substitute for just, doing, right? You can read, you can study, you can watch videos, you can listen to audio, whatever, but until you start doing, you're not going to become proficient at it. So that's why I recommend just going in, getting an SOP, and then you just work your way down the SOP and you check the boxes off as you complete them. It's telling me that something needs to be checked before I can complete it. So now you know that you're not skipping any steps, right? Check the boxes as you complete them. You don't move to the next module until all the boxes are checked. Then you go to the next one. Hopefully that's clear. we're a little bit of we're at the 5 o'clock mark, so I need to wrap up, guys. But I'm going to answer these last three very quickly. Chris says, "Can Zimmwriter produce quality local SEO content?" Yeah, but it's all depends on how you prompt it. So it's up to how you prompt it. But yes, it can. I'm torn between purchasing neuronwriter and Zimmwriter. Also with Zimmwriter, can you share articles with your team for edits? Yeah, you can. Zimmwriter produces articles in text-based format and in a text file, notepad file, whatever, text-based file. What I do is I have my Zimmwriter installation installed in a OneDrive sync app, right? In other words, Microsoft OneDrive or SharePoint, if you're using Microsoft Business, Microsoft for Business, then it's SharePoint, but it's the same thing as OneDrive. And then if you install Zimmwriter in a OneDrive or SharePoint app, right? So all the program files and everything are hosted in OneDrive or SharePoint. Then you can share that one Zimmwriter license with everybody else that has that sync, the SharePoint or OneDrive app that is syncing to their desktop, which are these. I don't know if you guys can see my full screen, but those are all, that is a OneDrive sync. And then these are two SharePoint syncs. And so you can have one Zimmwriter installation that you can share with all your team members if they're all sharing a SharePoint or OneDrive sync app. And then all that content that is published, it goes into a folder within that folder within OneDrive. That makes sense. So here, I'll give you an example of this real quick. I'm going to go into OneDrive and I'll show you my files that go into admin. And then right here under, sorry, let me go back. My files, it's under miscellaneous. You'll see Zimmwriter's installed right here, right? And so I have Zimmwriter. I can click start, which I would do for my desktop, and it would start, and then I could run it. But then all of my articles go in the articles output file, right? And so all of my team members are going to have the same sync app. So they all have access to those articles at any time. And if they edit them and they edit them in the OneDrive or SharePoint app, so online, then those are real-time edits, just like Google Drive or Google Docs or whatever. Does that make sense? You could probably do it in Drive too, guys. I've not tested it in Drive because I took everything and put it into Microsoft apps, just because I don't want Google having all that data. But yeah, I prefer Zimmwriter over anything else, guys. But it's kind of a preference thing. It's up to you. Just pick one. I like Zimmwriter for all the reasons I just mentioned. Chris says, "Why don't you use Semrush anymore?" I do use Semrush. I just don't use it for backlink analysis because Semrush is notorious for being overly sensitive and classifying everything as toxic links. I don't like Semrush for backlink analysis, but I like it for their keyword magic tool, EX power listings. There's a few things that I use in Semrush. I have a subscription. I've been using Semrush for many years, but I don't like it for backlink analysis. I use Majestic for backlink analysis, and that's it. Last one. John says, "Does it impact SERPs negatively if I block AI crawlers?" Not that I'm aware of, but I don't know. I've not tested that specifically. I'm not 100% sure. I don't have a good answer for that. I don't think it'll hurt SERPs, but I don't know. The SGE stuff, maybe. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that, so I apologize. But that's it, guys. We got to wrap it up. I've got to go. Will says the SERPs are worth the price of entry. Thank you, Will. Matt says, "Is that group in Circle in the mastermind group?" Yes. Matthew, Matt, what's up, buddy? He's from SEO Gits. We're going to have him back on again. But yeah, Matt, if you're in the mastermind community, then yeah, that SOP, like everything, there's only one section in the mastermind that is not available to everybody in the mastermind, and that's the directory hybrid agency discussion group, because that is specifically for the additional coaching, that like the more intensive coaching program members that joined. So this one section is not available to you or to a mastermind member, but everything else is. That makes sense. So, okay. Thanks, Adam, for sticking around. You didn't have to. You got any follow-ups?
That's it. That's awesome. If anybody wants a link, I'll pop it in. Actually, I guess it's too late, but I'll start popping in the link to Circle so people can join. If you don't want to join the mastermind right away, that's fine. But we do have some free resources that are really nice in there.
Yep. I would encourage you to get plugged in because, like I said, I'm not on Facebook anymore, guys. I try to stay off of it anyway. So Circle is where you get access to.